Hi everybody, this is Maya Zahira with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and we are now live in our free Facebook group, Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. And this is a very special workshop that we're doing today, and the name of it is the 3-step empowerment process for clearing and resolving psychic attack, entity issues, and negative spiritual interference once and for all, permanently, without wasting your money on 50 different ineffective shamans or healers. So this is such a juicy workshop that we're doing today. I'm going to take some time right now just to do some drumming, and I encourage you to just breathe and ground as we wait for some additional members of our group to join. So if you're watching the replay, sit back, relax, breathe, and ground. And the more grounded that you are, the more you'll get out of this content that I'll be sharing with you in a few minutes. So let's start off by taking a few slow, deep breaths. Slow, deep breaths. Releasing all of the energy from the day. As you breathe, focus on calling your energy back down into your body. Call your power back to you. And feel like little waves of energy. Anything that's not serving you. Any stressful energies from the day, any energies from other people that don't belong, anything else in your energy field that doesn't belong. Feel it rippling and leaving your energy field effortlessly as you focus on your breath. Your breath. Feel that you are fully present, fully embodied, fully present within your body, fully present in the here and now as we prepare to dive into some really important content. Nice deep breath. This is my frame drum. One of them. I collect them. And drumming is a really great way to meditate and calm your energy and ground. So I wanted to do some drumming at the beginning just to really help us to anchor and ground and center, and also to give everybody a chance to get here, to join live. So welcome everybody who is here live. Hello to everyone who is watching the replay on the Psychic Protection Sanctuary YouTube channel or wherever else you might be watching. Welcome, welcome. So we do have a free Facebook Live every month in our free Facebook group, Psychic Protection Sanctuary. This video is actually going to go out to other places. I'm going to upload it when we're all done. And so wherever you're watching the replay, there actually will be some links that you can access, which we'll talk about later. So just letting you know, like whether it's in the description or the comments or whatever, there will be some important links for you to access later. Okay. So just a couple of logistical things. I live in Arizona where it's super hot, and so you'll hear some white noise because there's air conditioning and fans going right now. So that is just how it's going to be. And also, this workshop is a little bit different than some of the other ones that I teach, some of the other Facebook Lives. The content is a little bit different. The format is a little bit different. There's so much that I'm going to be talking about that I will be looking at my notes to make sure that I don't forget everything. There's a lot to cover. You'll definitely want to grab a pen and paper. And for some of you, this will be a review, but this information that we're covering is so important. I feel like even if you already know it, getting it clearer in your mind, like crystal clear. I think going through this workshop is going to make this information so crystal clear. It's going to be really good for you going forward. Okay. So, let me go over the title again of our workshop today, and then we'll go over some introductory stuff. And then we'll go on ahead. Oh, one more logistical thing I almost forgot to mention. A lot of times I do questions throughout, but today we're going to do it differently. So if you have questions, wait until the end, and I will answer all of your questions all together at once. Okay? All right. So the title of this Facebook Live is a really long title, but it really tells you exactly what we're doing here. So the title is The 3-Step Empowerment Process for Clearing and Resolving Psychic Attack, Entity Issues, and Negative Spiritual Interference once and for all, permanently, without wasting your money on 50 different ineffective shamans and healers. And here's the thing, actually, I know a lot of you, and I've talked to my current students, and the biggest complaint that people have had is that, oh my gosh, I went to like 25 different shamans and none of them helped me. Like they tried, or maybe they didn't know what they were doing, or it just didn't work. So this, I'm going to tell you exactly what the 3 steps are that you need to do instead of throwing spaghetti against the wall and doing things that don't work. Okay? So, you are in the right place if you've been dealing with spiritual sensitivities like empath oversensitivity. You're in the right place if you've been dealing with anywhere from mild to severe issues of entity harassment, psychic attack, black magic, hex, curse, haunting, unwanted paranormal experiences, and or targeting by the dark forces. Okay? So you may be experiencing one of those things or all of them. You're in the right place. Okay? You're in the right place. Number 2, if you have a personality that is self-motivated, self-directed, tenacious, which is the positive way of saying stubborn in a good way. If you are persistent and you don't give up easily, like you are like, I want to fix this thing and I'm not giving up, then you're in the right place. You're in the right place if you have come to the realization that quick fixes actually don't work. And because you realize that quick fixes don't work, you are willing to do what it takes to resolve these issues once and for all. Now, this class is not right for you if you're still hoping for an easy quick fix, or that someone else, like a shaman or a healer, will magically fix you. This is not the right workshop for you. If you're still hoping that someone will wave their magic wand and just fix you, make all the problems go away, and you won't have to do any work of your own, you won't have to address any of the root causes that are making these issues keep reoccurring. If you keep thinking that someone's going to do that for you and fix you, you're in the wrong place, because that's not what we do here. We actually do what works. This class is not for you if you don't want to take self-responsibility for fixing these issues. If you don't want to do the work, then this isn't the right place for you. And there's no shame in that. If you're like, I don't feel like it, I don't want to do it. Most people who don't step up and do the work do stay stuck. I'm just telling you, I've worked with a lot of people over the years. I've observed a lot of people. But if you don't want to do the work, that's fine. There's no shaming that. But my approach and the approach that I have found that works isn't for you if you don't want to do some work. Okay. And this class is not for you if you're not willing to invest in a solution. Now, invest means a couple of things: investing effort, investing time, and possibly investing some money, but not necessarily. But no matter what, in order to resolve the issue, you do have to invest some effort and some time into the solutions. Okay, so you have to be willing to invest. If you're not willing to do that, I don't know what to tell you. You're not going to get very far. Okay, sorry to be the bearer of bad news. So just another quick announcement for everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It's totally okay for you to say hi and let us know where you're joining from. Chat with each other, but I won't be looking at the comment section really very much until the end. I'll be doing Q&A at the end. So feel free to chat amongst yourselves, say hi, let us know where you're joining from. So in today's workshop, my promise to you is that I will give you a clear framework for resolving psychic protection issues permanently. And in return, I ask that you listen with an open mind and that you apply the steps. So I have a couple of basic tips for you in getting the most out of this masterclass. First of all, turn off all distractions. Now, here's the thing. I know, I would rather that you be here and listening than not at all. So if this is your time when you're fixing dinner, if you're watching live and this is when you're fixing dinner, then I'm happy that you're here and that we are having this connection. But if you can, turn off distractions, quit scrolling Facebook and just focus here for a minute. Okay, if you can. And then another tip for getting the most out of this masterclass is to get a pen and paper or a journal for notes. Now, I won't be going over as many details, as much content as I do in some of my other free Facebook Lives, but this workshop content is perhaps more vital, more important. It's even more important because you need these 3 steps. So have your pen and paper ready so you can write down exactly the steps that you need to take. Okay. And number 3 tip, stay until the end because I have some special surprises for you at the end. During this masterclass, I will teach you the 3 steps for clearing and resolving negative spiritual experiences completely and permanently. I'll also share my story and the inspirational stories of others who have had success with the techniques that I'm going to recommend. And then also, if you're interested, I will also be sharing some next steps in case you want to go further in working with me. So I do have a bonus to tell you about right now, that in case you do decide that you want to take those next steps and work with me, which we'll talk about later. But I do have a bonus for you. And for those of you who are watching this video, you can receive a bonus. It is a powerful audio recorded energy clearing session. It is called Releasing Money Blocks and Activating the Flow of Prosperity, Resources, and Support. And let's be real here, a lot of people who are experiencing psychic attack, black magic, negative spiritual interference, that energy tends to block a person's resources and money flow, making it difficult for them to receive support. So that is why I am giving this as a bonus, so that you can receive the assistance in clearing out those blocks. So once again, it's called Releasing Money Blocks and Activating the Flow of Prosperity, Resources, and Support. And it is a super powerful audio recorded energy clearing session. And it's very popular with my students. They love it. So next, I want to give you a visual analogy. So we're going to go into our imagination for a moment. So I want you to just relax. You can even close your eyes or just let your eyes soften. And we're just going to go into pretend imagination zone here. Okay, so you're going to step outside of reality and just imagine this little scenario. I want you to imagine that, first of all, that you have kids. You may actually have kids in real life. If you don't, you're going to imagine that you have a few kids, okay? And I want you to imagine that you bought a tree house for your kids. It's a really nice tree house that's made with wood. It's not one of those plastic ones. This is really nice, solid wood. But of course it comes in like cardboard boxes and it has to be put together. So you've bought a tree house for your kids from the hardware store, and the hardware store is having a contest. So I want you to just imagine this. The contest is that you have to put the tree house together in, let's just come up with an imaginary time. You have to put it together in 2 hours. The entire tree house, you have to put it together in 2 hours by yourself, safely, so it can't fall down. It has to be put together in a solid way. But you only get to use one tool, and that tool is a hammer. And you don't have any other tools that you can use. No screwdrivers, no saws, no anything else, just one hammer. And only you, like your spouse or your friends, don't get to help you. Only you get to do it, because that's the rules of the contest. But there's this other rule. Oh, I forgot to say, there's a prize. If you can accomplish this task in our imaginary time limit, 2 hours, the prize is that you get free products for life from that hardware store, or imagine like your favorite store in the world, whatever it is. Like if it's like home goods, a store, or some kind of clothing store, or I don't know, grocery store, whatever your favorite store is that you think it would be amazing to get free goods for the rest of your life. That's the prize. You get those free products for the rest of your life if you can accomplish this. So you're very motivated and you really want this prize. And you're like, well, I don't know if I can do that with only a hammer. And like, even if you are really handy, it's going to be hard to accomplish. And if you're not very handy, good luck to you. I'm not very handy, actually. But there's another rule with this contest. It's like a special side option. You have the option, instead, you're allowed to hire a crew to help you build the treehouse, and the crew has unlimited people. It's got plenty of people in the crew, and there are unlimited tools. And there is also a leader of the crew who's highly experienced, who has trained everybody in the crew. Okay. So the rules of the hardware store are that you can hire this crew to come in and help you, and there's still that same imaginary time limit of 2 hours, and you get the same prize, unlimited free products from that hardware store or your favorite store for the rest of your life. So it's like amazing. Okay, so you want your kids to be safe and for the treehouse to be stable and to last a long time, maybe even to last long enough so that not only your kids can use it, but your grandkids would be safe using it, right? You don't want it to be falling down and kids to break their arms and their legs and all that stuff. So, of course, you might be guessing this analogy is not just about an imaginary treehouse. The treehouse is your learning the steps of psychic protection to create stability and freedom for yourself and your loved ones. So your kids, in this analogy, might actually be you and your loved ones. So you want to keep you and your loved ones safe. Are you able to accomplish what needs to be done by yourself with not the right tools? You're trying to do it. You're looking at the booklet that comes with the treehouse, and you're like, oh, this was written in another country because it doesn't make sense. The instruction booklet doesn't make sense or whatever. You know how that happens. And you're trying to figure it out, and you're doing the best to kind of literally put the pieces together, but you're not doing such a great job. So are you going to build a tree house that falls down and you get injured, and you've also like wasted a lot of time and perhaps money because you bought the tree house, and now it's like just a pile of wood because you can't use it, and you get no prize, no freedom? Or will you will you just jump into it and hire a crew that is experienced, so you have the support around you? You are working along with them. They're working along with you. You accomplish this, you get it done, and now you have this amazing tree house that is safe and can be used for generations to come. Okay, so you see what I'm getting at with the analogy that if you're struggling with psychic protection, you might not have all the tools. Now, there's an exception here. If you're already like a master carpenter, maybe you could build the treehouse on your own. Like you already are at mastery level with whatever it is that you're trying to work on, and you don't really need the crew, but you only have a hammer. You still don't have all the tools. So anyway, you get what I'm getting at here. Okay, so just some food for thought about resources. I see a lot of people who are trying to solve their psychic protection issues by just using a hammer, maybe another tool. They don't have the proper support, and they're trying to make it happen. And it's so hard watching that. So that's why we're here. I'm going to give you exactly the steps that you need. Okay. But before I go into the steps, I want to introduce myself. I know many of you already know me, but I want to just go through my story really quickly. Hi, everybody. My name's Maya Zahira, and I actually was doing spiritual teaching even when I was a teenager. I was leading groups of hundreds of other teenagers in prayer and meditation. But when I tell people how many years I've been doing work as a spiritual teacher, I usually just refer to my adult years, which would be about 30 years working in the field of spirituality. for about, oh gosh, for many, many of those years, I was what I now call a feel-good spiritual teacher. So I was doing important work. You know, this world that we live in is difficult. We need those feel-good kinds of spiritual guides, but we also need the people doing the difficult, the not so feel-good stuff, which is what I do now. But I was doing all this feel-good spirituality. I was doing women's empowerment retreats. I was doing Reiki workshops, like all these things to help you feel good and relaxed. I was aware of psychic protection. I understood that it was important, but I really didn't know any more than the average spiritual teacher, which is not very much. I knew about what was popular at the time and what is still popular, which is basically just burn sage, just say a few prayers, just visualize white light around you, focus on good energy. If you focus on positive vibrations, then nothing bad will ever happen to you. All of those things are very popular beliefs, and I totally believed all of that until in 2016 I went through a major psychic attack, and unfortunately, I went to a colleague in another city who I wanted to get a second opinion from her. And as a result of going to her for a session and for a couple of group events that she put on, I came under severe attack. Now, this is someone who I think means well, but this situation really taught me about false light entities, because this is someone who says that she's working with a council of angels, but she is not working with a council of angels. That there is a very, very dark, powerful entity that is working through her, that is pretending to be a council of angels. This was my first knowing head-on collision with false light. I say knowing because I think there's tons of it. I now realize there's tons of false light in the world, tons of false light entities pretending to be all sorts of benevolent beings. But this was the first time that I came to really understand it. And that entity was very dark, very evil. I literally thought that it was going to kill me. It was terrifying. And one of the even more difficult aspects of it was that when I reached out to my community for help, I reached out to other colleagues, because I was like, at first I didn't know what I was dealing with. Like, this was not what I was used to. Was like somebody sent you a couple of bad vibes, some like energy daggers, because they were mad at you, and then so you just burned some sage, said some prayers, and you cleared it out, and it was fine. Like, that's what a psychic attack is. I had, oh my gosh, I actually used to believe that I believed that negative entities existed, but I believed that they were not capable of harming humans. And that was a false belief. Okay, that was totally not true, because I do tell this whole story in my first book, Darkness Disguised as Light. So if you want to, I'm not going to go into the entire story because that would take too long. But yeah, it was very, it's not true that entities can't harm you. They actually can. So when I was reaching out to my colleagues, and some of them were elders in the community that I thought surely they would know, every single one of them said things like, well, just have you tried burning sage? And I'm like, duh, I've tried that already. It's not working. And then a lot of them said that because of their belief in the law of attraction, they said, well, there must be some darkness within you that you're projecting out, and that's what this is. And I was like, oh my God, this is, infuriating, and it's victim shaming, you know? So needless to say, it was very not helpful at all. And I was amazed that there didn't seem to be the right information out there to help people who were under severe attack. And so there was a lot of blame, shame, a lot of bad advice. And here's the thing, in my gut and in my heart, I knew I'm not the only one who's going through this. I can't be the only person on the planet who's having this crazy experience. I just knew there are other, if I'm going through this, I bet you anything, there are plenty of other people going through these kinds of situations, and they also are not finding the help that they need. So there was this one time when I was in the thick of it, I was afraid to go to sleep. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, or it was the middle of the night. And I couldn't sleep because I was so tense, because I was afraid of this thing, because I didn't know how to protect myself yet. And so I got out of bed and I went to the computer and I was looking online, and I was like, how are there, like I couldn't find any support groups. I just wasn't finding the help that was appropriate for me. I mean, there were practitioners out there I found online, like people doing black magic to undo curses. And I'm like, I don't want to work. Like, I instinctively knew not a good idea to work with a practitioner of black magic, which has that, by the way, that's been validated over and over again as I've met people who've tried that option, and it's not a good option. And so aside from that, I really wasn't finding anything. I had already contacted the Catholic Church. In the city where I was living, they didn't want to talk to me. Like, so, there are some channels of the Catholic Church where the priests are really, they really believe in this, and they know, and they want to help. There are a lot of priests who don't want to touch this stuff with a 10-foot pole. And that's what I ran into. So I'm like, not finding any help. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. There should be more help. So I went back to bed. I sat on the edge of my bed and I literally prayed. I prayed and I said, like, I don't even know what to do. Like, this is beyond my knowledge at the time. And I made a vow that if I got through that situation, and when I got through that situation, that I would help people who are going through this kind of thing. Because what I saw and felt and knew in that moment was that it was traumatizing to go through the spiritual attack, and doubly traumatizing to have no support and to not know what to do, not have any guidance, not have anybody believe you, people telling you that you're crazy, and having no support. So I was like, I want to offer support. I don't know how. I figured I would offer a Facebook group, which is where we are right now. This is the Facebook group that was formed because of that vow that I made. So you might have already guessed, I did make it through that psychic attack. I did have to figure it out on my own. I did have a couple of people who stepped in along the way and gave me little tidbits of information, which was very invaluable. But basically, I had to figure out a lot of it on my own. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a guide. I didn't have a community. I went through it alone. And I wish that I had had a group of people. I wish I had had that, but I didn't. So very briefly, I want to go over, before we go into our next part, I want to go over the reason why. So just being totally straightforward, the reason why I call myself an expert in psychic protection, the reason why I am an authority in this field, and I'm not saying this from ego, it's just saying this as like a matter of fact information, okay? So there are a lot of people a lot of practitioners in the world. No offense to anybody. There's a lot of practitioners in the world who will read a book or maybe take a weekend certification workshop, and then they suddenly have the label of like ex-master such and such, whatever the subject they've just studied from a weekend workshop. I applaud that healers and spiritual teachers want to help people. I don't think that a weekend workshop makes them an expert, or reading a few books makes them an expert. Again, I think I acknowledge the intention to help people. That's a good thing. But my expertise comes from firsthand knowledge. So having gone through the trenches, I went through that psychic attack in 2016, but I also went through several aspects of spiritual targeting before that, starting at a young age. And we don't have enough time to talk about all of that. But when I went through the psychic attack in 2016, I finally realized this is an issue because I had gone through a number of situations. So it was a chronic issue, and I had to work through and undo all of that, again, on my own with no support. So I have this firsthand knowledge, not only with working through my own very severe circumstances, but also working with literally hundreds of clients with a variety of situations, some of them very, very, very severe. So I do know a lot from being in the trenches. So years of helping clients successfully to literally get free of their issues. So I definitely am not just somebody who read a book. I've written a couple of books, but all the knowledge that I share is not from reading books. It's from being in the trenches, from literally seeing what's happening, doing the, literally seeing what works to clear different entities, what works to clear different types of spiritual targeting issues, different types of spells, etc. Okay. So I actually did have a lot going against me when I went through the psychic attack in 2016. So as I mentioned, I didn't have a support. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a community. But not only did I not have a community that could help me with psychic protection, but I literally lost my entire community. I lost almost all of my friends and colleagues. I actually had a big network of friends and colleagues in the city where I used to live. And when I started speaking out, when I started asking for help, and then after I cleared the issue, when I started speaking out about psychic protection topics, I literally had so many colleagues unfriending and blocking me. I would go to spiritual events that I had gone to for years, and people would back away, and they would say, "We don't want to talk to you. We don't want anything to do with you," because they were people who believe in positive vibes only, and they didn't want to be around anything that they thought of as negative. But don't you think that was a very negative, fear-based thing that they were doing? They were afraid to talk to me. So that's kind of messed up. But I literally lost almost all my friends, my entire community. I also didn't have any family support. I had very little money at the time. I was like the starving artist type, but I was a healer. And because I had no money, I was living in a really terrible rental house with a leaky roof. The garage flooded all the time. I mean, it was a disaster house, and I didn't have the money to move. And on top of all of that, I was dealing with genetic chronic illness that made a lot of aspects of life difficult. So, it was like piling on thing after thing after thing. I didn't have an easy situation to begin with. Okay. And despite the fact that I had all of these challenges, I still took action. Okay. So the benefits that I received from utilizing the methods that I discovered, that entity from 2016 is long gone, never to return. So I don't have to ever worry about that thing circling back and causing stress or worry or attack or anything dangerous or anything. Any entity issues or psychic attack are just a blip on my radar at this point. So what that means is that if I do run into an unexpected issue, I have the tools to immediately notice it and fix it. So I have the discernment tools, the psychic skills that have been developed, that I can discern what's going on. I know right away if something's going on in my energy field, or if there's a psychic attack that is trying to be sent my way. I know about it, and I have the tools. I have a whole toolbox of physical tools and spiritual tools for fixing it right away. And I've tested that over and over again. Like, I've had weird stuff that has tried to happen, and I notice it, fix it right away. So that has been really good. Most importantly, I don't have to live my life in fear, and I now know exactly how to keep myself safe as well as my loved ones. So that's super important. Okay, so now we're going to get into some teaching. I know we said that we were going to cover the three-step empowerment process, which we are going to cover. But first, grab your pen and paper, because I'm going to talk to you about the 3 massive mistakes to avoid with getting free of psychic protection challenges. These massive mistakes are just as important as the 3-step process. Okay. And they might, like, all of this might sound basic, but it's one of those things where, like, when you don't know it, it really hurts you. Okay. So, then when I point it out to you, it's going to be like, oh yeah, that's so obvious, but it wasn't clear. It wasn't crystal clear to you before. So the more crystal clear all of this is, the more you'll be able to take steps forward with clarity. Okay. The 3 massive mistakes to avoid with getting free of psychic protection challenges. Okay, mistake number 1 is, and this is so common, but if you've been working with me for a while, you might not be making this mistake, because you've heard me talk about it so much. Mistake number 1, trying something once, then giving up when it doesn't work. When people are new to my world and they're telling me what's going on with them, psychic protection wise, this is really common. They tell me, well, I tried whatever, fill in the blank with whatever method, but they only tried it once. They didn't keep going. They just tried one little thing. It didn't work, so they gave up. And the only reason they did that was because they just didn't know any better. They didn't know what to do. So they thought doing it once was what you're supposed to do. And if it doesn't work, then they don't know what to do. So trying something once, then giving up when it doesn't work. This is what I call throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what works. And if the spaghetti falls down, then, well, I guess it didn't work. So this is like they try burning sage once, or even something more powerful like burning frankincense incense. And they tried it once. The entity came back, or the black magic was still hitting them really hard. So they figured it didn't work. Or they said a prayer to Archangel Michael or something, and well, that didn't work. They visualized white light, or maybe depending on their spiritual leanings, they did a ritual or a spell, and they felt hopeful that it was going to work, and it didn't work. Because here's the thing, the mistake is that when you think that doing something only once is going to work. The mistake or the reality is that when you're dealing with a pernicious energy, you have to be persistent. You have to like keep going. So whatever method that you're working with, you keep doing it every day, every day, every day, like burning frankincense. You're going to burn it every day, every day, every day, every day. Doing it once is not going to be enough. So the other thing related to this is when people don't know, like when they don't have enough information or they don't have anyone mentoring them, they might be doing the wrong methods for the situation. So, for example, does the person know what the situation is? Do they know what they're dealing with? Do they know, like if they suspect, like maybe there's paranormal activity, have they figured out what kind of entity it is? Because if they don't know, there's different clearing approaches for different kinds of entities. Or maybe it's not an entity. Maybe it's some kind of black magic, a curse or a spell. Do you have enough information to know? Or are you just kind of guessing, throwing spaghetti at the wall? Okay, so that's mistake number one. Trying something once, then giving up, or throwing spaghetti at the wall and just hoping that it would work. So why do people do this? Why do they make this mistake? Everybody, so the reason why they make this mistake is that everybody out there is teaching that this method, whatever, like do this prayer once, visualize white light once. Everybody out there, especially in the New Age world, is teaching that that approach works. The like, do it once and that's enough. So the person doesn't have the proper knowledge and they're just hoping for the best. So the cost of making this mistake is that they stay stuck. They're full of fear. They're dealing with sometimes a lifelong attack. And when they stop making this mistake, they stop going in circles and they finally make some progress. So when they stop just doing this like one time and forget it method, then they actually start making progress forward. Okay. So I have a short little testimonial for you. One of my former students, we're going to call her Suzanne. She's like so many people. She tried lots of different things that she found on the internet. She was dealing with black magic that someone was sending her way. She was dabbling, trying a little bit of this, a little bit of that to see what would work. She would experience small temporary progress, but she never got very far. So she did end up joining. Eventually, she decided to join Spiritual Empowerment Academy. She immediately made steady progress. And the big reason for this was because she was surrounded by others who were further along and who had become free of their psychic protection issues. And this gave her the motivation to stop with that one time, like dabbling with this and this and this and this, but not really taking a steady approach. Seeing all of her classmates and how they were doing it gave her the motivation to be more disciplined with a steady approach. And she made a lot of progress very quickly within just a couple of months. So here's mistake number 2. We're talking about the 3 massive mistakes to avoid with getting free of psychic protection challenges. Mistake number 2. I mentioned this one earlier. This is a really common mistake. People will hire healers, shamans, or etc. who are inexperienced. They're not experienced with psychic protection, or they will hire healers or shamans who are practitioners of black magic, who are unethical or dangerous. So let's talk about both of those. So, hiring healers, shamans, etc., who are not experienced. There are a lot of really wonderful healers and shamans, etc., out there who actually do have a lot of expertise in whatever their specialty is, but they don't have the expertise in psychic protection. They don't have the psychic abilities to be able to see and discern and know what kind of entity or energies are occurring with their client. And so it's like and they also don't know the right approaches for how to safely address the issues. So it's like the shaman or the healer is like doing the healing session in the dark with their eyes closed, like feeling around going, I hope I know what I'm doing. And then a lot of times they end up making the client worse because they stir things up and they don't know what they're doing. So despite the best efforts and the altruistic efforts of the healer or the shaman, if they don't have in-depth experience with psychic protection, it's going to be dangerous to work with them. Even if they are an ethical healer, if they don't know what they're doing, then they oftentimes will make it worse. And then there's the other category of shamans and healers who they actually advertise that they do black magic. And of course they have free will. They can decide to do that. But I have worked with so many clients over the years who they, out of desperation, because they were being psychically attacked by someone was sending black magic to them. And so they didn't know who to go to. So they went to a black magic practitioner thinking, well, maybe the black magic practitioner can undo what this other person is doing to me. And 9 times out of 10, the client would end up coming under attack by their own black magic practitioner. It's almost like the scorpion can't help but sting. What is it? The frog? There's a little story about that. It's like you can't help it. Not saying that as an excuse, but it's like this person is a black magic practitioner. They already are doing things to hurt people. Do you think they're not going to turn on you if you decide to stop going to them or you disagree with them or anything? Do you think like they're not going to take ethical actions? And so unfortunately, people do reach out to practitioners like this because they're really scared and they're desperate and they are hoping for the best, but it ends up to where now they have the psychic attack from the original person plus this shaman or healer that they went to in hopes of resolving their original issue, but now they're under attack by the practitioner too. And usually that practitioner is very experienced and skilled. And so that psychic attack is bad. Okay. So this is a really common mistake that people make. So what this mistake looks like. So you need help. You feel desperate. You don't know who can help you. I've seen a lot of people who've reached out to Reiki healers or energy healers. I love Reiki, by the way. I love energy healing. But here's the thing. The standard Reiki healer, because I went through Reiki training 25 years ago and redid all my trainings again about 15 years ago, I think it was. I've been through those trainings. There's very, very little information about psychic protection. And even now, even though there have been a few additions, still like very little. It's not enough to arm a practitioner with the knowledge to help you. Okay, so even though they might be an amazing and very loving and caring Reiki practitioner or energy healer, they don't have that training unless they've gotten separate training on the side. Okay, most of the time they haven't. So they've had minimal experience or training in psychic protection, or it's someone who calls themselves a shaman. They went to a certification workshop for like a weekend. They're very experienced in their field, but not in psychic protection. Maybe they know a lot about herbalism or about traveling to the underworld or whatever, but they don't really have the skills of knowing all the different types of entities or how to they just don't have the skills. Okay. So what happens when you stop making this mistake? The thing is when we make this mistake, when we hire the wrong people, we are leaking money. That's just a fact. You're leaking money. So when you stop making this mistake, you seal the money leak, because the cost of making this mistake is, and I've talked to so many clients over the years, the cost is tons of wasted money, or your psychic attack is much worse because you've had an encounter with a dark shaman. So it's either wasted money or worse psychic attack. So when you stop making this mistake, you seal the money leaks, you protect your energy, you free yourself for actual, real, safe solutions. So I do have a quick testimonial. One of my past students, will call this student Jade. Jade had been to 20 different healers and shamans over the years. No kidding. And I actually have a lot of people that I've worked with who tell me basically the same thing, that they've been to 20, 30 different healers. Jade then found me and made more progress in 1 month than they did with working with all those different shamans. I'm not saying that because I'm special. I'm not any more special than anyone else on the planet. I just happen to have the experience. And the people that it just so happened that the 20 people, the 20 shamans that they worked with, the 20 healers that they connected with were like the basic ones that are out there in the market. And they didn't know how to help Jade, unfortunately. So now let's get on to mistake number 3. You like my cup? Thank you. Mistake number 3. Making decisions from fear, desperation, being ungrounded, and being disconnected from your inner guidance. So what does this mistake look like? The making decisions from fear, desperation, ungrounded, being disconnected from your inner guidance. What does this look like? Well, it does connect with the other 2 mistakes, because when you're in fear and you're ungrounded, you're kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall, trying a little bit of this, trying a little bit of that, kind of like running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Like, oh my God, I don't really know what to do. And maybe just like grabbing whatever you can, grabbing whatever method, finding whatever healer that you can on Google, hiring the wrong healers, even freezing and shutting down and doing nothing. I see a lot of people do that, where they don't know what to do, so they freeze. They take no action, or they make excuses for not taking action by focusing on like false limiting beliefs. Like, well, I can't take this step because fill in the blank. And it's actually a way that they're holding themselves back or lying to themselves, because whatever false limiting belief that they're telling themselves is actually a lie. But it's because they're so filled with fear and desperation and ungrounded and disconnected from their inner guidance, that when you're in that like freak out or freeze state, it's human nature to like go into the inability to take action, right? So why does this happen? Why do people make this mistake? It's because they're stuck. They haven't had, so they're stuck. They've tried things, but they don't know what else to do. And that's because they haven't had proper guidance. So psychic attack itself causes people to get ungrounded and overwhelmed. Going through psychic attack often causes people to lose their connection with their inner guidance, system. And the cost of making this mistake is literally like running in circles or staying frozen with no actual solution. So when people stop making this mistake, they experience breakthrough, freedom, and major progress. Okay, so let's go through a quick testimonial. This is from a previous student that I will call Jace. And I'm using fake names, as you've noticed, because our group is a sacred space. So everyone in the group has total privacy, and I never share people's private information. So we're going to say Jace, and this is based on very common composite stories. Okay, like this, all of these stories have happened so many times. So Jace was experiencing severe paranormal activity, unwanted paranormal activity. So this was not like fun, oh, we have a friendly ghost in the house. This was like stuff attacking him at night. He actually was living in a house that was haunted. And that is when the activity started. But even when he moved to another location, the unwanted paranormal attacks, especially at night, continued. He did work with a shaman, a wonderful woman who really wanted to help him, but this was beyond her scope of expertise. She was really nice, but she didn't know how to help him. He did have a few energy sessions with a few healers, but that didn't really go very far. He felt overwhelmed by everything that was happening, so he stopped. He just canceled his appointments. He just didn't know what to do. Finally, he did follow his inner guidance. He heard about me because I was living in the same city. And so he started working with me, and we made huge progress in just 3 months. And within 9 months, now that might sound like a long time, but we're talking about mega paranormal stuff. This person had, I'm not kidding, thousands of entities attached to him. So he made huge progress in just 3 months. And then in 9 months, within 9 months, he was 100% clear of entity attachments. Okay. So it did take a while to unwind all of that, but that's actually a very reasonable expectation because, as you know, I've worked with hundreds of people over the years, and I've seen patterns, like I've seen what time frames are reasonable to expect. So that's actually a very reasonable time frame. That's a very common time frame for he actually had very severe issues going on. Okay, so now as promised, we're going to go into the 3-step framework. This is the 3-step empowerment process for clearing and resolving psychic attack, entity issues, and negative spiritual interference once and for all, permanently, without wasting your money on 50 different ineffective shamans and healers. Okay? So these 3 steps are simple but vital. So we're going to go through, I'm going to give details about all 3 of them. So just so you know, I'm not going to teach you every little nuanced step because that's beyond what we're doing here in this free class. But you will be so crystal clear on these 3 steps. And then I'll give you more resources on, I'll give you a few different options of how you can fill in more details with these steps. Okay. Step number 1 is daily clearing, healing, strengthening, discharging your energy, grounding. Okay, so daily clearing and daily healing. Daily spiritual self-care. That is step 1. So remember, we're talking about the 3-step empowerment process for clearing and resolving unwanted negative spiritual issues. These are the 3 steps. The first step is you have to have a daily process. A daily process. So the daily process can include clearing, healing, so energy healing, using methods for strengthening your energy, using methods to discharge any energy that doesn't belong, releasing any energy that doesn't belong, whether it's energy from your coworkers or negative entities or psychic attack, whatever, discharging that. Practices for grounding, okay, and centering. You have to have a daily process. It's like brushing your teeth, okay? So let me give you examples. So I distinguish between physical tools and spiritual tools. So physical tools for accomplishing some of these things might be doing smoke cleanses that you would use, like sage or frankincense or other resins or dried herbs that have particular purposes for different types of spiritual issues. So smoke cleanses, using salt or salt baths, using like holy water, different kinds of water for protection, healing, clearing, cleansing, using protective amulets, other protective objects. So those are just some examples. So just so you know, there's a book that you can refer to that will help you get started, because I believe in giving you the tools. So I'm never holding back. We just have limited time. So I'm going to give you the name of my book. If you've ever self-published, you know, you don't get rich off of putting a book out there. It's a labor of love. So this is a resource that I've created for you. Amazon does charge between $10 to $15 for the book, I think, depending on which format that you get. And the book is called The Psychic Attack Sourcebook. So there's information in there, for example, on how to use some of those physical tools, as well as some information on spiritual tools, which I'm going to talk about now. Spiritual tools like learning how to check your own energy, how to do that, how to create a grid of protection around your energy field, how to remove negative energy that you find in your energy field. So these are spiritual skills or spiritual tools. All of those are certain skill sets that take time to develop. There's some basic information in the book on how to get started with that. And then, of course, obviously, we go really in depth in Spiritual Empowerment Academy in those areas as well. So why is it important to have a daily process for clearing, strengthening, grounding, etc.? So again, it's like brushing your teeth, or it's like showering. You don't shower just once ever and then be like, okay, I'm good. Like, you're going to stink after a while. You're going to have dirt on your skin. Your hair is going to be greasy. Like, you need to shower regularly. And the same thing is true with your energetic, your spiritual protocols. You just have to do it regularly. And this is actually a really common mistake that people make. And I mean, I get it. Life is busy. Like, we just get lazy. And I'm not calling anybody lazy. I'm just saying, you know, people are like, well, I probably don't have to do it. Well, it literally is the same as showering. You have to start thinking of it as important as showering, because you're not going to be like going for weeks, hopefully, without showering, going, I don't really feel like doing it. Hopefully it's okay. Well, you're like, it's going to get bad after a while, right? So even if you're not going through psychic protection issues, you still need to have some kind of daily process for maintaining your energy field, okay? Like energy hygiene, all right? And if you are going through some kind of psychic protection issue, you absolutely have to have a daily protocol. In fact, if you're going through some kind of issue, you need to be doing some kind of protocol at least twice a day, in the morning and at night, and maybe even midday. If you're going through a severe situation, it needs to not just be once a day, it needs to be twice a day or more, okay? All right, so the benefits of this daily protocol is that when you manage your energy daily, negative energy will have less impact on you. So let's just say in the easier situations, let's say you are a sensitive empath. You pick up on other people's energies really easily. If you are doing a daily practice, other people's negative energies will affect you less and less and less. You'll be stronger, you'll be more resilient. And of course, this is also true if you're going through more severe challenges. You'll be able to clear any psychic protection issues quicker, and you'll be less vulnerable to major attacks. So some people have had a pattern in their life where they have like a major psychic attack issue or entity issue, and it's awful, awful, awful. And then maybe it gets a little bit better for a few years, and then it ramps up and it gets really bad again. There's a different kind of attack that happens because they're already vulnerable. But if you have a daily protocol, then you are going to be less vulnerable to those major attacks. They're just not going to ramp up in the same way, okay? So why do most people not do a daily protocol? It's because they're not motivated and they don't realize how important it is and how effective it will be. Like literally just doing a daily practice, even without some of the major clearing tools that I teach in my academy, just doing a daily protocol of grounding and discharging your energy, etc., will help tremendously. But a lot of people just don't even realize how effective it will be, which is why they're just not that motivated to do it. Okay, so I'm going to share a short testimonial. This is from a previous student who I'll call Xander. He was constantly bombarded with negative thought loops that were caused by psychic attack. And so these negative thought loops, like he couldn't stop the negative thoughts. Always these like fear-based thoughts of terrible things that were going to happen to him. It was just awful for him. And so he had to make himself do a daily protocol that emphasized grounding and clearing, because he was so sensitive to the energies and the thoughts of people around him, as well as entities, that he was so vulnerable to, like the way that he was vulnerable was that it affected his thoughts. He would just have these constant, incessant, obsessive, negative thoughts and fears. And so once he started practicing a daily protocol of grounding and clearing, he felt so much better. He actually avoided it a lot for several months. He would say that he needed to ground, but then he would never do it. And then finally, when he did do it, he was doing so much better. Okay, so just a reminder that with step number one, the daily protocol, different kinds of clearing tools, physical clearing tools, spiritual clearing tools, you can find a lot of information about that in the Psychic Attack Sourcebook, because I want to make sure you have some resources. Obviously, like I said before, we go a lot deeper in the Spiritual Empowerment Academy, but the Sourcebook will help you get started so you have an idea, okay? So step number 2 of our 3-step empowerment process for clearing and resolving negative spiritual interference. Step number 2. Okay, so we've already gone through step number 1. Vital step. You have to do daily cleansing, clearing, grounding, maintenance of your energy. Very important. Step number 2 is that you also need to address spiritual vulnerabilities and root causes. So let's talk about what this is. So this could be current life issues putting you at risk, relationships, lifestyle, personal habits, addictions, activities you are participating in, or even spiritual practices that are opening you up to attack. So you could be doing like daily cleansing until the cows come home. You could be doing step 1 like perfectly, but if you're not addressing the root causes, you're not going to get totally free. You're going to make some progress, but you're not going to get very far. And that's just the truth. So, some of your lifestyle habits, addictions, activities you're participating in, etc. But also some of the root causes. Root causes could be from your current life, past lives, or ancestral situations or traumas that need to be addressed. Now, that's pretty huge by all of that. So we actually have a lot of support for addressing past life trauma, ancestral traumas, etc. in the academy, because that's just like a huge rabbit hole that if that needs to be addressed, there's a lot of support there. So why is this step important? Okay, so regarding lifestyle, relationships, activities, these things, like the things that you're doing in your life, they can provide a direct doorway for dark forces to reach you. So let's say you have a relationship. Let's say you're in a relationship with someone who's calling in dark entities. You could be doing all of your own clearing every day, but if you're still in a relationship or maybe living with this person, you're only going to get so far. And that's just the tough love that I have to tell you. Or if you are, engaging in spiritual practices, it's going to sound weird, but if you're engaging in spiritual practices where you're calling in demons and then you're coming under attack and you're doing clearings, well, you're actually doing spiritual activities that are calling it in. So you've got to stop doing that. Okay, so whatever the activities are that are calling it in, you've got to stop doing that. In addition to anything you might be doing like that, there's any unresolved traumas. Any unresolved traumas actually creating, unresolved traumas from this lifetime or other lifetimes actually create an access point for negative spiritual situations to enter. And, if you were a victim of some type of trauma, it is not your fault. But you need to be aware that it is really important to do healing work around those traumas because if you don't, then that will remain a vulnerable point where negative spiritual activity can enter. Okay? So black magic, psychic attack, entity issues, etc. can enter through that access point. So the benefits of addressing root causes and lifestyle causes are that the dark forces don't have anything to hook into you anymore. So if you take away those access points, the negative forces are not able to hook into you, definitely not as easily, and a lot of times they just can't hook into you at all if you remove all those access points. You could do step 1, the daily clearings, forever and ever and ever, but step 2 is what clears things permanently. So this is why I've actually seen many of my students clear their psychic protection issues permanently, is because they were originally stuck in step 1 because that was all they knew how to do from the books and the online videos and the TikTok and all that stuff. Like they were just throwing spaghetti at the wall. Finally, when they finally started to address all of the root causes, that is when they became completely free of the issues, and the psychic protection issues did not return. And I've seen this with tons of clients. So step 2 is really important. Why most people don't do this step of clearing root causes? they're hoping that step 1 is enough. Please, please, please. I would prefer to not have to work on my difficult inner shadow. I would rather avoid it and just hope that burning frankincense will be enough. Well, it's not enough. So the inner work sounds hard. A lot of people would like to push it under the rug, but doing the inner work is literally the thing that helps you get to the next step so that you can clear these issues permanently. So I have a testimonial from a past student. We'll call her Angela H. She was being harassed by a dark entity, constantly violating her physically. And you can fill in the blanks on that. Worked with a lot of people who've been through that. Step 1 helped, but it wasn't enough. She ended up having to do a lot of ancestral work. She did a lot of clearing ceremonies to clear her ancestral family line because there was a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt in her ancestral line. And doing that, she actually spent months doing various levels of ancestral clearing. And once she did that, then this single entity that was harassing her, she was able to clear it completely. Okay. So step 3 of our 3-step process. Our 3-step process for clearing and resolving negative spiritual interference. Step 3 is community and experienced mentorship. Community and experienced mentorship. So far, we've talked about step 1, which is the daily energy maintenance, daily energy clearing, grounding, etc. Step 2 is addressing root causes. Step 3, vital step 3 is community and experienced mentorship. So let's talk about community. Community is a group of people who have gone through similar situations so that you can feel heard and understood and provide empathy, and that they can provide empathy. You get to share stories with each other, provide guidance to each other. Community helps you to know that you're not alone. It helps to give you hope so that you can accomplish this. Because they did it, you can too. And they're further along than you. So you can see the success that can be achieved if you keep doing the process. You can be inspired by where they have gotten to. You can get there too. So let's talk about mentorship. Mentorship is working with someone highly knowledgeable with firsthand experience who has been through it, who knows what you're going through, who has helped many people like you to help you every step of the way. Because let's face it, if you're dealing with a really challenging issue, there are times when you'll get stuck and you don't know what's going on and you don't know what to do. And you need a guide. You also need a guide who has strong psychic skills so that they can give you the answers you've been seeking about what's going on, where it came from, and how to resolve it. So a good mentor isn't someone who is feeling around in the dark. They have the skills to be able to see what's going on. So why is this step so important? Most people most people don't make much progress working on their own. They just don't. They never reach their goal without community support and step-by-step mentoring. Now, there are people who are able to achieve their goals. I do believe that they exist on the planet. But I actually see a lot of people who get stuck because they just don't have the support and the guidance. So why most people don't do this step? Most people think that they can resolve their psychic protection issues on their own. But we're going to be brutally honest here. If doing it on your own truly worked, you would have already fixed these issues a long time ago. If working on your own worked, if it truly worked, you would have already achieved success with this. So I'm going to share a testimonial by someone we're going to call Samantha. She contacted me 2 years ago with a whole slew of psychic protection issues. It was coming at her from all directions. Entities, ongoing paranormal. It was very overwhelming for her. She showed up online so I met her online a few years ago, 2 years ago, and then she showed up online a few months ago again. And she was just as stuck as before. She had made no progress and she was still spinning her wheels. And she was saying that she couldn't sign up for the academy. Now that's her choice. But from my vantage point, I was watching her and I was going, oh, I feel so bad for her. I mean, I know that the academy isn't the only way. I'm sure there are other ways. I don't know. I'm sure that everybody has found different ways. But I could see how she was just so stuck. And she was stopping herself from taking the step. And so she stayed stuck. She was literally like in the exact same situation as she had been 2 years before. And I just felt really sad for her. But then there was Steven, who found me online via my YouTube channel. And he could tell by all of my content, he told me he could tell by all of my content that I could be trusted. Because he said, if you've shared that much content for free online, I figured, what must you be sharing in your paid academy? So there was someone who literally told me this, like, about how they trusted me because they could see how generous my channel was, how much I was sharing for free, and they could only imagine what would be behind the doors of the paid program. So he knew that he needed help, so he jumped in, and he was able to clear things completely. And he now knows exactly how to take care of his energy so he never has another psychic attack. Most of his psychic attack issues were with people trying to mess with his energy, and he was able to address that completely. So that was really good. Okay, so thank you all for going through those 3 steps with me. Let's recap really quick. So what I said before was that these steps are really simple, but they are vital. Like if you don't take these 3 steps, most people don't get very far. Most people just do step 1 in a like throwing spaghetti at the wall kind of way. Like a daily process. Well, a lot of people aren't even doing a daily process. They're just doing it randomly. But those people who are more regular with it will do a daily process of energy maintenance. Step 2 is just as important, addressing root causes. What is making you vulnerable to these issues in the first place? And then step 3 is community and mentorship. Now I know you can find other ways to experience the community and mentorship aspect, okay? But I gotta say that the Spiritual Empowerment Academy that has been going for about 7 years now, we've cultivated the most beautiful group of people who are just, I don't know, they're just so amazing. And so when new people join, they just are surrounded by other like-minded people who've been through similar situations. It's just a beautiful group of people. I could just go on and on about this amazing group of people. I might be the facilitator, but the members of the group are really a big part of what makes the group so magical. That's my honest opinion. So if it's all right with you, I'm going to spend the last couple of minutes real quick just talking about the academy, and then I'm going to share some free gifts with you. So Spiritual Empowerment Academy is it's my special flagship program that helps people clear spiritual protection issues, entities, curses, black magic, ancestral issues, past life issues, spiritual targeting, and even empath oversensitivity. This group's been going for over 7 years, so we've had lots of time to really develop it and make it amazing. We have a proven track record over the years of helping people to get completely free of their psychic protection issues. These methods actually work, and the 3-step process that I just described to you, it works. Now, what's important is that those who make a full commitment to do the work, right? So you can, watch a few free classes on YouTube, maybe throw some spaghetti against the wall, but you might not get full results from that. But making the full commitment, like joining the academy, and completing the program actually is what gets people the results. So here's what's included in the program. There's an extensive library that enables us to help people with a variety of psychic protection issues, because we have people with all different kinds of issues, from entity issues, ancestral curses, black magic, and entity possession. I mean, all sorts of things. And so we have an extensive library that enables us to help a variety of people. Within the library, there's a section on psychic protection basics, psychic protection fundamentals, and mastery level psychic protection, plus a library of long distance energy balancing sessions organized by category. So these energy clearing sessions are super powerful. We also have a lot of resources for getting to the root causes. We have a whole library on ancestral clearing, past lives, Akashic records, soul records, etc. Also, there's a whole library on intuitive and psychic development, so that you can develop your own skills to be able to identify and figure out what's going on in your own energy field. And we also have a library on emergency self-care, so that you have a place to go in the library if you're really struggling. In addition to the library, we have monthly live classes. So at the beginning of the month, we have a storytelling circle where anyone who wants to share what's going on with them, you can get things off your chest, share inspirations, share stories, share breakthroughs, challenges, etc. Once a month, we have a Zoom class where I teach you practical skills on psychic protection. And then every month, we also have a new energy clearing session that I audio record for you. It's a group session. And every month, we have a Q&A where you can ask me any question that you have. In addition to that, we have a Facebook group that's members only for the Academy members. And within the members only Facebook group, you can ask questions as you go. So you have support all the time. So you're not, so like when you get stuck along the way, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do now at this point of my clearing, you have a place to go where you can post a question. And not only do I personally answer all of your questions, but the other members of the group chime in as well, because they all have had their own experiences. Once we started doing it that way, because people used to private message me questions, once we switched it, it is so, it's just so enriching. It's very enriching to be able to see the answers from all the other members as well. So I have some bonuses to share for you, and then we'll finish with some Q&A. Okay, so bonuses. For anybody who decides that you want to sign up, I do have a fast acting bonus. And so wherever you're watching this video, there will be a special link to get the special price, because normally to sign up for this program that's very comprehensive, it's normally $250 a month. But there's a special price somewhere around here that you can access when you're done with watching this, that is for $195 a month. Okay, so you can't actually find that on my website, only near this video. If you don't find that link, the special price might not be available anymore. But as of this live video, the special price, $195 a month, is the fast acting bonus. And this is a 12-month program. It's not just a do it for 1 month, throw spaghetti against the wall. We want you to get lifetime results, long-term results. So that's why we create a 12-month container for this. So that's the bonus. If you do it very soon, then you can get that discount. There are also some other bonuses. Like if you do decide to sign up, then there's a powerful audio recorded energy balancing session for money, releasing money blocks and activating the flow of prosperity, resources, and support. Second bonus is another energy balancing session, releasing negative spiritual interference from all aspects of your life. I've had feedback from lots of people who've said that just this one energy clearing session cleared tons for them and gave them tons of relief. And it's called Releasing Negative Spiritual Interference from All Aspects of Your Life. Number 3 bonus is the Manifestation and New Beginnings bundle. Number 4 is Maya Zahira's Empath Survival Kit self-study course to get you started right away dealing with some of your spiritual oversensitivity. And bonus number 5 is Maya Zahira's Video Vault. This is all of my YouTube channel videos that are organized for you by topic in this valuable library. So right now I want you to think about if you have any questions for me about the content that we went over today, or about the program or anything at all, because it does take about a minute for your questions to come through. And I want to make sure to answer any questions that you have. So we talked about the common mistakes that people make with psychic protection and clearing, and then the 3-step process that's vital for permanent resolution of psychic protection issues. So as I'm waiting for your comments to come through, I'm going to read a couple of testimonials for you. And give me a second. Okay, so one of the testimonials, this is on my website. So this is, again, I don't give their names, I give initials. This is from JD in Arizona. This person says, I'm blown away by how much I have grown and how much I've learned. You are such an amazing teacher, Maya. You have an incredible ability to meet people where they are and teach them from there. My spiritual growth these last few years has been fun and exciting and enlightening, and I'm so glad you have been there to teach me so much. I'm going to read one more testimonial, and we'll see if you all have any questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Let me just check. Okay. And here's another real testimonial. This was a letter that was sent to me. Dear Maya, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for holding space and bearing witness to what is one of the most horrible and upsetting private struggles of my life. Thank you for not walking away from me, but holding out your hand and offering to help. In a world where things like demonic oppression are taboo, this gives me strength. Thank you for helping me to finally get to the bottom of my issues. I have seen so many healers, so many mediums, shamans, intuitives, you name it, but no one has ever been able to see what you told me today, and it feels right. Thank you for diving into the unknown territory of shadows, darkness, and entity attachment, where few healers have the fortitude to go. Until I found you, I was very alone, fighting these issues with what little resources I could find. Now I see you as a warrior, lighting the way for truth, against false light, against all the evil that's been keeping people down for so long. Thank you for being so open, honest, and approachable, so that I feel like I can, with all of my issues, fall apart in front of you, and you won't judge me. And lastly, thank you for doing the work that you do. I know that you have your own story, your own struggle that has led you to this point. You have looked fear in the eye and said, no, I hope to be as strong as you one day. And that's from M in Colorado. All right, so we're about to wrap up. I have noticed ever since Facebook did some upgrades, I think it was last month or the month before, that during my lives, I'm not getting your comments. I think that's what's happening today. So, do we have any? Nope, we don't. I am not seeing any comments. So if there are any questions or comments, I'm going to go in just a little bit, and I'm going to look for your comments in the Facebook group, and I will personally type the answers to any questions that you might have. But I want to wrap this class up, and I want to say thank you so very much for being here, for listening with an open mind. I hope that you found the content helpful, useful, and you can get more information about the Academy on my website, www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com, and click on Work with Maya. And you can also find basic information on getting started with step 1 of the process of doing a daily protocol. You can get information about that from my book, and you can get that on Amazon and on Audible. It's called the Psychic Attack Sourcebook. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you in next month's class. Lots of love.